Linda Israel here, and I have the scent of the day, strawberry kiwi. It has a piece of jewelry in it, so I get to pull that out here in just a little bit. It's a beautiful strawberry and kiwi, really fresh scent. I enjoy this in my studio. If you're interested, check out the link in the description box. Today I'm working on a traveling journal. This is going to be in a round robin. There's going to be 12 people playing. There's 2 groups. There are 24 total people, but so there'll be 2 journal groups that are doing this. Every lady that's participating is providing a journal. They're making an entry, and then it's mailed on to the next person. They get the journal, make an entry, mail it to the next person, and then they're getting journals. So when I mail this one off, I should be getting a journal in a couple of days, and I'll make an entry. So when it is done, my journal will come back, and 11 other people will have put their artwork in my journal. And then I would have put my artwork in 11 other journals. We're also doing a smaller journal that we will share with you later. So this is for the Canvas Corp brands, and we just decided that this would be a lot of fun to share all of the variety of artwork that everyone shares. So I'm starting with a journal that I purchased. I decided that I wanted a really nice heavyweight journal. This is a 140-pound watercolor. It was a visual journal from Strathmore. I got it on sale at Hobby Lobby. I believe it was 50% off. It has 22 sheets in here, but we don't need that many. I set it up to where I only have 12 layouts. So when there's a page here, but when you open it up, there's 12 pages laid out. And I have removed the additional pages. I got a couple extras that I left in the back because I plan to do something else with that. I've not done anything with the cover of this. I'm going to wait until it comes back to me to alter the cover, because that way I didn't want to add any additional postage to anyone as it goes down the line. I have already covered temporarily the front and other pages with some wax paper just to kind of help keep from making a mess. And I'm just going to apply in this. I've got a few things laid out here, a lot of Canvas Corp products. I've got a few rubber stamps. So I'm going to start with, I've got a couple of rubber stamps here. I've got the Brutus Monroe Detail ink, and I'm going to stamp randomly on here just to kind of give a little bit of background and dimension on here. This may end up getting covered up. I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is. That was a stamp from A Stamp in the Hand. It's just a little script stamp. This one is from Postmodern Design. It's just a little swirl. I am dear friends with the owners, and I used to be on, in a sense, their design team years ago. They would give us the samples of their stamps when they came out, and I got to make lots of cool things. So I have lots of their stamps in my stash. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit. Some people like to leave white space. For some reason, I have an issue with being able to leave white space. It just doesn't seem to happen for me. I've got a piece of tissue paper from the Canvas Corp brands. I'm going to add a couple pieces of this in here. I've got some Liquitex matte medium. Whenever you're working in journals, you don't want to use a glossy medium. If you do, when you go to shut your pages, they'll stick together and it'll ruin. So you want to only use a matte medium. So I'm just going to tear a little bit of this and add it here and there in my journal. I have some texture medium here. It's a lightweight spackling that I picked up at the hardware store. I found that it works great for me. May not be something for everyone. It's inexpensive. And I've got some Tim Holtz stencils here. I thought it might be kind of neat to add just a little bit of texture. I'm going to put a very thin coat on here. So I'm barely pressing into the stencil. And I'm not trying to make a full, complete image. So just a little bit on here. I want one going this way. Don't want it upside down though. I've got a little diamond or harlequin one as well, so I'm just making a couple of little texture spots with that. Again, not a whole lot, just a little. I have a little trash can beside my desk full of water, and that's where I put my stencils and tools until I'm done arting. That way I don't have to run and wash all my tools off. I'm going to dry this page, and then I'll get out some glimmer mist and we'll spray this. I just rolled up a paper towel and I'm running it down through the spiral. I did that so that paint won't get on the other pages and leak through. I'm done with the stamping portion, so I'm not really concerned about how flat the pages are as far as stamping, but this will prevent any leakage. It'll kind of soak up, especially when I do the spraying. I've just laid a little towel down to help pick up any overspray on my surface, and it'll also help sop up any extra fluids. So I've got just a few colors of glimmer mist here. I like bright colors sometimes, and so this journal page I want to have some bright colors. They may get a little bit muted as time goes by, but we'll start with Cranberry Zing, Turquoise Blue, and Pop Rock. So I have those three colors. So I'll let you see. What I like about Tattered Angels is the sample that's on the front is a sample made from the actual bottle. It's not like they make up a sample sheet and set it aside, and then months later they make the product and then they cut up the sample. No, when they make this product, what you see is what you're getting. So I'm just going to spritz this a few times with some color here and there. I've got a little bit of water. I'm going to spray it with some water to kind of help it move just a little bit. So that'll give it some nice dripping, and I'm rotating the paper and the journal to make it drip. I like watercolor paper when I do this because it really soaks up the fluids and it doesn't start to warp too bad. I'm going to dry this and I'll be back. I want to add a little bit more glimmer, so I have the iridescent gold, and I'm going to spray this over the whole thing. Got a few bits and pieces here. This is from Canvas Corp brand. It's one of their sewing themed papers. It's a 12 by 12. This is called Sewing on Ivory. So it has lots of little things on here, and I thought this would be a good one to put on here. I'm going to use a little bit of glimmer mist to hand paint this, and I think I want to paint it this turquoise color. So I'm going to get a little palette here and spray in the palette. Now what I do is I move my project out of the way. That's the smart way. And then I use the glimmer mist and just spray directly into the palette. And then that way I don't have to worry about dumping over a bottle. You know, sometimes you can paint by dipping your paintbrush into the bottle, but you run that risk of dumping it all over your project. So I'm going to paint this cabinet kind of a teal just by loosely what I call watercoloring it. That's one thing I like. Another thing I like about the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, that not only can you spray with it, you can paint with it as well. I've also picked out some other images from the Seven Gypsies. This is another sewing theme scrapbook page that was 12 by 12. I'll take up the, I'm not spraying anything else. I'm going to remove this. My arting began as a little girl making my own Barbie doll clothes. So I thought it was only fitting that if this is going to be my journal, that the first page in it should be a little bit about who I am. And my first project with Canvas Corp is a 4x4 canvas that I made, and I did it on sewing. So I thought, well, I might as well make this first page about sewing as well. I've got a Brutus Monroe surface ink here, and I'm going to go around the edge of a couple of pieces of the scrapbook paper that has been cut out. I like this little bird. I have one of the new Architecture 7 Gypsies dress forms here, and I think she needs a little bit of decoration, so I have a couple of things laying out here. I've got some seam binding. I don't want to have too much dimension because it is going through the mail. So these are relatively thin. They're not super thick. But I want to put this around her waist. So I'm going to use part of the sticker adhesive to try to determine how big of a piece I need here. And wrap that around her waist, like so. I've got a piece of pink here. I'm going to make a little bow. I'm going to adhere these pieces down with some Aleene's white tacky glue. I like to use my bone folder to try to help spread the glue out and get things to lay flat. I'm going to go ahead and use both pieces of the dress form sticker. You don't have to, but I like the color that's in this, so I'm going to use that. I have some little flat back pearls, and I think she needs a little necklace on here. So I'm going to cut a piece of this off, if I can get it started. I'm going to use the Brutus Monroe aubergine and go a little bit over the sides of this. I've got one of the Tim Holtz blending sponges, so I'm just blending that in just a little bit. I have one of these Fantastics that are blending tools from Imagine Crafts. I believe it's Tuscanito. I don't ever say it right. But I thought it might be good to use that. I'm going to use it in the Brutus Monroe Rouge and kind of give her a little more color to the dress form. And these are washable. I was told that you can take these and wash them out and use them on different colors. I have a few of these, so I think I may try to dedicate them to certain colors like pink and blue and whatnot. I have a 7 Gypsies sticker sheet here, and I like some of the sayings that are on here. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. And I thought that would be a good little sticker to put on here. Where do I want to put this? I think it needs some adhesive dots behind it. And then I saw another one on here that I liked. True wisdom lies in gathering the precious things out of each day as it goes by. So it's longer than necessary, but the true wisdom is in gathering the precious things. Got a little Sharpie here because it is watercolor paper and it's thick. It should not go all the way through. In theory, I am going to test it on a piece that I cut off and see what happens if I outline this. I've got some white high impact paint from Tattered Angels. So I'm going to put a little bit in my palette here. Apparently I still have teal on my brush. I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of water so it'll be kind of runny. Then I'm going to splatter my page. Take out the paper towel. And there is, oh wait, I need to sign it. Gotta sign your work, people. This is the pen I want to use. Alright, so there is my journal page for the traveling journal. I use the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. I use paper from Canvas Corp brands and 7 Gypsies, as well as some discontinued, I'm pretty sure, stickers. I use the new Architectures dress form, some seam binding on top of there, and a few little self-adhesive pearls, and some tissue paper in the background, as well as a couple of rubber stamps. The only last thing I might do here, if I can find my little cube, here it is. I've got a little cube of the Brutus Monroe Detail ink, and I'm just going to go around the edge of the page real quick like. Oh yeah, I like that. It finishes it off. Doesn't need a lot, just enough to give that distinct finished look. It's funny when you're filming, you are trying to share and talk, but you sometimes forget some of the details that you want to put into it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my little journal page on what I did in the journal for the traveling journal with Canvas Corp brands. Make sure you check the link description below to see the other journals that are out there. I'm not sure if anybody else is doing videos, but I know that there's going to be blog posts on the Canvas Corp brands collective that you definitely want to go and see. So make sure that you check out that link in the description and go to the Facebook group and see how those are posting, as well as the Canvas Corp brands blog. Thanks so much for watching today. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, give this video a thumbs up. Comment below if you have questions or just want to tell me what you thought of this particular project. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, because there are things that I share there that don't make it into videos. Thanks so much for watching today. Have an amazing day. Bye.